The rhyme we chanted as children at recess played on repeat in my mind as I emerged from the pool at the Clearview recreational facility. Esther and Roe, Esther and Roe, visit the park after dark and you'll know. Esther and Roe, Esther and Roe. We would laugh about it during the day, but I couldn't have been the only one who had nightmares about the two monsters that inhabited the park when the sun went down. The recreational complex sat squarely in the middle of the park and hosted a variety of activities for the citizens of Clearview to enjoy. Beyond the swimming, there was an outdoor track, a weight room, cycling classes, and 3 basketball courts, but it closed promptly at dusk when the night janitor, Esther, started her shift. While Esther did a great job keeping the place tidy, she was known to have unpleasant interactions with the patrons. This was largely because Esther was a jet black, 12-foot-long spider. In her defense, even when things went poorly for someone caught in the complex after hours, Esther was just doing her job. Once or twice during my life, I remember hearing about a guy who got caught and wrapped up in the ball of web Esther left outside the front door every morning. Normally, this was where she put all the garbage she accumulated throughout her shift. But a stray human was apparently a candidate for clearing out, just like anything else out of place. The poor guy was still alive when they cut him out of the webbing, but he was never the same. Chance of living or not, an encounter with Esther was something I was keen to avoid. So still dripping, I hurried to the glass door which led from the pool area to the universal locker room. Peeking as far as I could past the sinks and lockers, I saw no sign of movement and slipped through the door. It was dark, lit only by the exit sign at the end of the corridor. I pressed my back against the wall and tiptoed toward the main hallway. My heart was racing, but I worked to keep my breathing under control. I felt terribly exposed as I peeked my head around the corner. Nothing. At first. Just as I was about to commit to darting out from the locker room, a long, black leg emerged from the door up ahead. It touched down on the tile floor delicately, as if it were bearing no weight, but it was followed by another and another, until the monstrous arachnid consumed the entire width of the hallway. She was facing away from me, dragging a garbage bag with one of her rear legs, and, if my eyes didn't deceive me, also carrying a bottle of glass cleaner. I held my breath as Esther passed through another doorway and out of sight. It was scary not to know where Esther was, but having seen her may have been worse. I stood there trembling, unable to move, on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I'd have to pass her to reach the exit. But the longer I waited, the greater the chance of her finishing whatever task she had in that room, so I mustered my courage and snuck down the hall. It took all my strength to keep from breaking into a frenzied sprint as my gentle footsteps sounded far too loud in the silence. A shiver shot down my spine as I crossed the door through which Esther had passed. I ventured to look over my shoulder into the darkness but saw nothing. I picked up my pace as the main entrance came into view. My careful steps shifted to a speedy walk, then a jog, faster, faster, until my ankle caught something and I toppled forward. I scrambled to my feet, trying to discern what had caused me to trip when I saw the thin, almost translucent strand of web running mere inches from the floor. I don't know if it was the noise or the vibrations on the web, but Esther shot out into the hallway and darted in my direction. The subtle clicking of her limbs and the tap, tap, tap of her feet on the tile grew louder as I approached the door. With every ounce of energy I had left, I flung open the glass door into the vestibule and heaved my body through, but I was too late. One of those massive legs had reached my foot and held it tight. The rest of my body was through the door, and despite my legs still being inside, I pulled the door shut with all my might. Through the glass, I witnessed Esther's gruesome underside. Massive ivory fangs and voraciously clacking mouthparts covered the entire window as the giant spider worked to claw the door open. Then I felt it. The sharp sting of her fang entering my ankle, followed by a burning sensation that spread up my leg toward my knee. Fortunately for me, In Esther's frenzy, she toppled over a nearby garbage can, which scattered trash all over the floor. Her frenzy died down as her attention drifted between me and the mess. Eventually, she opted to clean, and released her grip on my leg long enough for me to throw myself out the second set of doors into the night. But as soon as that exterior door closed behind me, I regretted ever leaving the recreational facility, because while I was out of Esther's domain, I was now squarely in the middle of Rose. And while Esther was frightening, her passion was keeping a tidy space. Rose's passion was death. All of Clearview is familiar with the story of the couple from out of town who stopped in the park to sleep on their way home from vacation. They must not have seen the signs. Park goers were finding body parts scattered about for weeks. I stumbled to my feet, only to find my right leg nearly unable to hold my weight. Esther's venom was taking effect, and while there was no pain, the numbness, the weakness, was the last thing I needed. I limped forward along the sidewalk, down the road that led to the park's exit, but even if my leg were perfectly healthy, such a walk would have taken 10 minutes or more. But in my state, street lamps line the road, illuminating small patches of pavement before giving way to the moonless night. Woods crept in on either side, concealing what lurked beyond. There was nowhere to hide. I just needed to get out of the park. So onward I hobbled, down the street, trying to gain control of my nerves. My head darted in every direction. My breathing was ragged, my chest heaved in anxious gasps. Maybe I was halfway to the exit when I nervously checked behind my shoulder and saw something moving in the darkness between two streetlights. It wasn't quick, but slow and deliberate, passing from one side of the road to the woods beyond. I hobbled quicker, despite my leg getting worse with each passing minute. And the next time I looked, it was no longer a shadow. Standing directly in the center of the second streetlight behind me was Ro. The first thing I noticed was the antlers, rising twisted into the darkness, becoming indistinguishable from the woody branches spanning the road. Whenever anyone described Ro, the first thing they would mention was the resemblance to a deer, though standing on two legs. But for me, the most striking feature was its hands. Long fingers hung low by its side, each terminating in sharp talons which glinted in the streetlight. I froze, barely able to stand, unwillingly taking in every detail about the monster before me. But soon, Ro began to walk in my direction, slowly, calmly. I scrambled away, tripping over my limp leg as the distance closed between us. The sound of Ro's cloven hooves clopping on the pavement drove me to frantic flight. The pavement scraped my skin as I tripped and clawed my way toward the park's exit, but the exit wasn't even in sight. Ro was close now. I risked a glance and saw his razor-sharp teeth bared in a grin. Its eyes, those eyes I don't even like to think about to this day, they were white, but hardly empty. They were full of such hate, such desire that to look upon them was painful. But even after looking away, I could feel its gaze on me, as if Ro were savoring my taste from a distance. Clip, clop, clip, clop. He was almost on top of me now. There was no sense in running. I turned to face it, attempting to kick futilely with my uninjured leg. Then, all I could see were the hands, the claws, slowly reaching down, nearly touching me. I winced, covered my face with my arms. The next moment was a blur. Headlights, screeching tires, a thud, the slam of a car door, and then... Beth? Elliot! I'm so sorry. I had no idea anything bad would happen in the lab this morning. Please don't hate me. Her words tumbled out as she rushed to my side. I hardly heard her as I tried to take stock of what had just happened. Dazed, I followed the headlights with my eyes and saw Ro lying motionless on the pavement several paces away. You killed Ro, I muttered. Huh? She asked, turning to look at the vanquished creature. Screw Ro. Get in the car. Let's go. With some difficulty, I got into the passenger seat of Beth's car and she sped out of the park. How did you know where I'd be? I asked, once I regained my presence of mind. "Oh," she replied. "I've had detention before, but I just hung out at the wreck overnight. Esther is chill if you help her clean." Unbelievable. Beth drove me to the Clearview Regional Hospital where they kept Esther anti-venom in stock. After an evening in recovery, I finally made it home. I asked about the incident, but nobody found Rose's body in the park the next day. I played it safe and kept away for a long time after that.